How do you know which no to use in German, you know? The challenge is there are three: kennen, wissen, and können. And we're going to go ahead and explore how you use each which word to know and when. So let's dissect these three: kennen, wissen, and können. First, we're going to take a look at wissen. So the kind of memory trick is Germans know wissen, when to use which to know. So wissen, think of wise, W-I-S-E. So that's sort of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So here's some fun facts about using this verb to know. So it's when you're knowing something as a fact. You need to know like when or how something. Knowing when something will happen. When you possess knowledge, so there's that wisdom memory trick. In fact, go ahead and write wise equals wisdom somewhere in your notes under this column, so you'll remember that. Wise equals wisdom. And the other thing is that typically using wissen, you can answer it with more information. Like you need to be able to answer the question with a phrase as opposed to just a noun or pronoun like her, him, she, Heidi, Hans, Helga. So you need to be able to answer it with some information like, do you know what time school begins? You would say, at 8 o'clock. So that's a phrase. You need something longer to answer the question. So those are some fun facts about wissen. Now we're going to look at kennen. The first thing I want you to write in your notes for kennen is ich kenne Ken with a capital K. Okay, so the name Ken. Ich kenne Ken. Please put that in your notes. That should be the first thing in that column. It's because you know Ken, you're familiar with him, and he's a person. So the ich kenne Ken is a memory trick. So you know Ken's a person. It's also good for knowing places or things. Like I can say, well, I know Stuttgart because I like really know that town. Or I know Romeo and Juliet. It's a book. Like I really know it. I'm familiar with it. Talking about a place, so you know your way around that place. You recognize it, so I recognize Romeo and Juliet. And finally, this can be answered with a noun or pronoun, whereas wissen requires a phrase. This could be like whom do you know? Ken, Hans, Heidi, Helga. Now we're going to take a look at können. So the first thing you should recognize with können is that it's one of our modals, meaning can or be able to. So we've already conjugated this before. And that means that you're able to do something or you have a skill in that something. All right, you command it or be in command of. So you know how to do it. That's your skill. Typically it's used when we're looking at languages. So ich kann Deutsch. I can German. I'm able to speak German. So können is another sort of stretch in terms of using or understanding one of the to knows. So kennen, wissen, and können. Kennen is a regular verb, so it's conjugated with our S10-10 rule. So EST, TEN, TEN, S10-10. Ich kenne, du kennst, er, sie, es kennt, wir kennen, ihr kennt, sie kennen. Wissen, on the other hand, is not, so we'll look at that. Zum Beispiel, kennst du Heidi, Hans? So, hey Hans, do you know Heidi? Yeah, that's talking about a person. Kennst. Wir kennen Berlin etwas. We know some of Berlin. We're somewhat familiar with it. Kennen deine Eltern Fußball? Kennt Jens das Buch? Wissen is irregular, so there's a stem vowel change. Ich weiß, du weißt, sie es weiß. Wir wissen, ihr wisst, sie wissen. Zum Beispiel with wissen. Weißt du, wo Heidi wohnt? So do you know where Heidi lives? So if I say in Berlin, that's a phrase that I have to answer the question with, a prepositional phrase. Wir wissen, wo Berlin liegt. We know where Berlin lies or is located. Wissen deine Eltern, was die Hauptstadt ist? Weiß Jens, wer Wolfgang ist? Does Jens know who Wolfgang is? So make sure you put does Jen to know who Wolfgang is. And können, which we've seen as a modal. We already know this is irregular with a stem vowel change. Ich kann, du kannst, sie es kann. Wir können, ihr könnt, sie können. So, kannst du Deutsch? Er kann Klavier spielen. Helga kann das nicht. Was könnt ihr? Übung macht den Meister. So place in these spaces below kennen, wissen, or können as appropriate, and make sure you conjugate them correctly. Pause the video to try these sentences, these statements and questions. Resume the video when you're ready for the answers. Kennst du Heidi und Hans? Weißt du, wo Sarah ist? Erik und Heiko können Spanisch. Kennen Sie das Buch, Frau Braun? Wir wissen, wo Berlin liegt. So if you made any mistakes, make those corrections in another color. Vielen Dank.